everybody, and welcome to this DMU live stream session. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Please do make sure you leave us a comment to say hi. We'd love to hear from you. My name's George. I work in the marketing team for the Faculty of Health and Life Sciences here at DMU. Today, I'm joined by a panel of academics and current students from the Applied Social Sciences School at Montfort University. So we're going to start by introducing our panel today. So I'm going to come to you first, Mark.
Hello, my name is Mark Scase. I am the Associate Head of the School of Applied Social Sciences, and I'm also the Head of Psychology, and Psychology is one of the provisions that sits within the school.
Lovely, thank you, Mark. And Debra. Oh, I don't think we can hear you, Debra. Okay, maybe we'll come back to Debra in just a second. Let's come to one of our students instead. Let's go to Nabila.
Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Nabila and I'm currently in my third year studying towards a PhD in cognitive psychology.
Fantastic. And finally, Hana.
Hi everybody, my name's Hannah and I've just graduated from DMU with a first class degree in criminology with psychology.
Excellent. Okay, I think Debra's having some issues. I'm going to try one more time. Debra, can you hear us or no? I think maybe not. Okay, we'll move on and hopefully maybe Debra will join us at some point if we can figure out what's going on with her technical issues. Okay, so for the next hour, we're going to be talking and hearing from our academics and from our current students about their experiences of online learning. We're also going to be answering any questions that you've got. So please make sure that you leave us a comment and we'll do our best to come back to them towards the end of the session. So make sure that you add them into the comments section. So firstly, congratulations everybody for staying positive about your future and choosing to join university this coming academic year. We're living in an extraordinary year that has affected all of our lives and plans, and DMU understands completely what a significant year this is for you, because it is for us too. So if you're planning to start or continue your higher education journey in 2020, we want you to know that DMU is here for you every step of the way. Your DMU future is a way of connecting safe campus living, quality teaching, one-to-one time with academics, and a great student experience, all within our diverse and welcoming community here at DMU. We're committed to ensuring you get the extra help that you need with your life, work, and study. So your DMU future is something that we can provide some more information on towards the end of the session, so you know where to go to keep up to date with all of the developments that are happening at DMU across the coming weeks. So we've been really carefully planning for the coming year. So what we're going to do is hear from Mark about what you can expect from teaching and learning on your course when you join us at the start of the next academic year. I'm going to hand over to you, Mark, to get us started.
Thanks, George. The School of Applied Social Sciences is one which teaches really quite a diverse range of courses. So thinking about the different subject areas, we've got psychology, we've got community and criminal justice, which includes criminology and policing. We've got education studies, and we've got social work and youth and community development. Some of these courses have got accreditation with professional bodies, so we need to be really mindful of the accreditation aspects of the course to make sure that we can deliver things in a really high quality way. Over the past few months, we've been working really hard to make sure that your experience will be as high as it possibly can. we will make sure that when you come to DMU, you'll learn really a new set of skills that will make you employable. They will really help with your employability after you leave university. The way in which we're going to do the teaching has been adapted in a number of ways to make sure that your experience will be as best as it possibly can. And we're going to make sure that the access to facilities will be enabled. Now, the way in which we're going to be doing the teaching is in a variety of ways. Our Vice-Chancellor has announced that the approach the university will take will be a blended one, which means it'll be a combination of delivery of teaching and learning online and also elements which will be face-to-face on campus. We really want to try and maximise as much as possible the access that you've got to facilities that we have on campus. In terms of the online teaching, we are dividing that into a number of different types of online teaching. There will be pre-recorded, or what we call asynchronous delivery of some types of lectures. This means that these are things that you can view in your own time, but really to help with your experience, what we're going to be doing is timetabling you a time when you can view these things. Also, there's going to be elements that is going to be synchronous. So things like discussions that will happen in real time. So what we mean by a synchronous discussion is something that happens at a certain time where there are groups of students involved, and then also a tutor will be there leading the session. So we have this online delivery, and on top of that, there will be face-to-face delivery as much as we possibly can. Obviously, the most important thing is bearing in mind the health and the safety of our students. So we've been working really hard on campus to make sure that there is appropriate signage, and that when we do deliver things, your health and safety is of the utmost concern. We're going to maximize the face-to-face delivery in terms of the things that we think are going to be most useful for you. And we're going to come on maybe to some aspects of that a bit later on. Okay, so now back to George.
Thank you, Mark. I think we have Debra back in the room. Debra, can you hear us? Are you with us?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So Mark has given a very kind of brief overview of how teaching is going to look in terms of across the board in September. Have you got any information that you would like to share with us about how that's going to work across your course areas?
Okay, so I missed the introduction. So my name's Debra Hadwin. I'm a lecturer at work, and I'm responsible for practice learning and social work placements. We still have a number of students who are currently on placement, and they're all working remotely from home. For level 4 students, which is what you'll be in your first year at university, you don't have placements here. A lot of the program, the social work program, is about preparation, understanding what social work is about. At the very basis of social work practice is relationship building. So it's looking at understanding who you are, understanding different people, different perspectives, and getting to know the lecturers and getting to know each other. So we'll have lots of interactive sessions, whether they're in person or with opportunity for you to join in discussions, get to know each other and get to know ourselves.
Excellent. Thank you, Debra. I think we managed to get most of that. It was a little bit sketchy at some points, but I think we managed to get most of what you were saying there, so thank you. Okay, so obviously back in March this year, we all had to adapt very quickly to adopt online teaching and learning. So what we're going to do is go to our students now, so to Hana and Nabila, just to get a bit of insight from them as to what their experience has been of online learning over the last few months. So Hana, I'm going to come to you first.
Yeah, so obviously going into an online learning experience has been a learning experience for all of us. But I've had a really, really positive experience with it. So obviously everybody is in the same boat. The students, the lecturers, we're all learning different types of technology, new types of technology that we might not have necessarily used before. And I really think that going through something like this will really help your adaptability skills in the future. So you can talk about in interviews, you know, remember when this happened, and you can talk about how you were able to still carry on your degree or even start your degree in your case in the middle of a pandemic and online. And I found that online learning has been really flexible. So at university, sometimes you have other commitments like part-time job, going for a food shop, societies, but the online learning has meant that, you know, I've only had to concentrate on my studies, and I was fortunate enough to get my highest ever mark because of the support I was given online. So you get all the support that you need with your studies online, and while it's not the same as going to see the lecturer in their office, you still have the opportunity to talk to them over email, over live chat if you wish, to ask all of your questions about your course. The library have also been doing online webinars about writing essays, referencing, all that kind of thing. So you have that support still. The university has also given us free access to LinkedIn Learning, which we've all been able to access and make use of. So if you haven't heard of what LinkedIn Learning is, it's basically a resource that can show you lots of different courses. So I've done a one on Microsoft Excel, presentation skills, all that kind of thing. It's all there, which is really, really useful. And like I've said, still been able to get in contact with academics through email and live chat and through live seminar sessions that they've been taking. And the teaching and the assessments have been adapted, obviously, to go on to online teaching. So Laura Flowers, who's our academic executive at the Student Union, she lobbied for a 2-week blanket extension on all assignments. So that meant we had 2 weeks extra to do our assignment to kind of adapt to this new situation. Also, exams, they were mostly changed so they could be online. And you had a full 24 hours to do your exam, which meant that your personal circumstances and family situations didn't get in the way, so you were able to do it in your own time. And we were also given a no detriment policy as well, which meant that any exams that we did during the pandemic, it wouldn't have a detrimental impact on our final grade. So it'd be based on our performance throughout that module, throughout the year that we'd be given our final grade on. And we were still able to collaborate with other students through Microsoft Teams, Zoom, through course group chats. So we were still given amazing support from the lecturers and other students at DMU.
Thank you, Hana. Nabila, how about you? How has your experience been over the last few months? You need to unmute yourself, Nabila.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I remember you kept saying it and I forgot again. I'm very sorry. But yeah, I think the only major difference that I found is that I'm not on campus. I'm not physically on campus anymore. But I've been able to kind of carry on with everything as normal, just from home, which has been quite nice. The only thing I really miss is maybe popping out for a coffee, meeting friends and stuff. But otherwise, I'm still collaborating with my supervisors quite easily online. Whenever I need to see another human being, my supervisor is always available to kind of chat with me on Zoom or Microsoft Teams, like Hana mentioned. And I've not felt as isolated as it could possibly be. of being off campus and being away from everyone else. So it's been a bit of a change, but it's been quite positive because everything has sort of carried on just as normal. And I think that's incredible, considering how much of an impact this whole situation has had on everyone's lives. I think we've been able to continue pretty much as normal in the situation. So that's been really positive. And I think it's really important to be able to communicate with your lecturers, with your supervisors when you need to, and they're always available for that. And they're on it with emails all the time, responding quickly and organizing meetings as quickly as possible as well. So I've not really struggled at all on that front.
Thank you, Nabila. Right, okay, so shall we go into the questions? And Mark, I wonder whether as we go through the questions, if there are any program-specific examples that we've got for any of these, we could add them in at that point. Is that okay?
Sure.
Right, cool. Let's go with the first question then. So, will I have one-to-one contact with academics? I know that both Nabila and Hana have touched on this, but Mark, could you give us a bit more detail around how that's going to work over the first term?
Yes, the answer to that is yes, you will have one-to-one contact with academics. Where that might be possible could be elements of face-to-face one-to-one contact, but obviously we need to bear in mind the safety conditions that the government require. But there'll be one-to-one contact online at the very least. This can be done firstly through email and also through Microsoft Teams, which is the type of software that the university is adopting for video conferencing. When you arrive at DMU, you'll be allocated a personal tutor. That personal tutor is a named contact, is through somebody who you can go to and ask questions about aspects of university life. The personal tutor is somebody who's got a really important role. They act as a signposting facility, telling you about some of the ways in which the university operates and also where you might go if you need to have extra types of support. Your personal tutor will follow you throughout your university career, will get to know you, and probably will be somebody who will write a reference for you after you leave university. So yes, you will have one-to-one contact with academics. It's really important during this transition time as you go from, say, being in college to being at university. Many students find that it's a bit of a challenge thinking about different ways of operating, how to learn differently, in particular aspects of self-directed learning by yourself. That's a really key skill that you need to acquire for employability. But we will help you through the process. We'll tell you how to do learning at university level, and this is where the interaction with academic staff really comes in.
Thank you, Mark. So is that the case across all courses?
In essence, yes, all students get allocated a personal tutor, and personal tutors are there who will be there to advise them. And it's important that your personal tutor allocation happens really early on so that you don't feel as though that you're getting lost at all. You are allocated a personal tutor within the first week that you arrive, and then initial meetings are set up. We do have more structured contact with personal tutors at certain points during the year, but academic staff have office hours, so times when they say they are available, and you can sign up to speak with your personal tutor at one of these times, or alternatively just email your personal tutor and arrange a time that is mutually convenient.
Perfect. Lovely. Okay. Shall we move on to the next question? Okay. So will the assessments be different? I'm going to come back to you for that one, Mark.
The answer to that is a bit yes and no. And it's related to the course requirements. In order to complete a course at DMU, you need to meet certain learning outcomes, which means that at the end of the course, you will have learned a whole series of things, and it will be on those things that you will be judged, and your degree classification will be then calculated. On the whole, I think you can say that assessment across the school is a combination of coursework and exam. Depending on the subject you're taking, the proportion changes a little bit. But coursework happens during the year, and exams, for example, in my subject in psychology, happen at the end of the year. For coursework, that will be largely assessed in exactly the same way as it always has been. So you're given some type of assignment, it might be an essay, it might be some other type of work, and then you submit that online to the main university portal within Blackboard. And this is then marked by a tutor, and you get the results back within a certain time. So coursework will largely be identical to how it's always been. At the end of the year, there are exams for many subject areas. And now, in normal times, exams would be sat usually unseen in an exam room on the university. Because of the COVID-19 situation, this year, during around May time, we had assessments a bit different. The precise type of assessment was the same. In other words, writing essays or completing multiple choice exams, but the way it was administered was a bit different. We were aware that students weren't on campus last May, and also there were some students who had gone back to their home countries. Some other students have caring responsibilities, so scheduling exams at a certain time would be more challenging. So the way in which assessments were done this year was that we allocated a 24-hour period within which the student could take the exam. Well, we don't really know what the situation is going to be like in May 2021. I think we're going to wait and see what that is. But we already have a system that's worked very well. All of our students who've graduated or who've progressed through the other levels have found that's worked quite well, and I'm sure Hana could say more about that. But on the whole, assessments will be largely the same.
Thank you, Mark. Hana or Nabila, do you want to add anything in terms of your experience of assessments over the last few months? Obviously, Hana, you've just finished your undergrad, so how did that work for you?
Yeah, so like Mark says, assessments weren't really that much different to what we were used to. So at DMU, every assignment you will do will be handed in online anyway, so that hasn't changed. But with exams, like I said earlier, they were all online, and it was really, really simple, actually a lot more simple than I first expected. And we were literally given our exam questions as you would in an exam hall, and was given 24 hours to answer them. And I really loved that flexibility. It really took the pressure off, in a sense. And it gave you the opportunity to do the best you could. And I was really pleased with how it went. It was really great.
Perfect, thank you. Nabila, have you had any assessments over the last couple of months? You need to unmute.
I'm really sorry. I feel like when my face pops up on my screen, I just panic and start talking. I'm so sorry. So no, I haven't had any assessments or any assignments due over the last couple of months, which I'm really grateful for, because but I would like to highlight, I think a lot of my friends have been doing their assessments, have been submitting assignments. And I think the speed at which everything progressed and how quickly the university adapted was actually quite admirable, because the situation was unfolding quite unpredictably and a lot of things were happening all at once. And I think DMU responded amazingly. I think everyone carried on as normal, and normally results are kind of released in June, if I'm correct. Am I correct? June? And people start graduating in July. So there's only been like a couple weeks delay with everyone's results coming out and everything. And I think that's amazing considering the whole world is in turmoil at the moment. DMU did a really good job of adapting to that. And I know that a lot of my colleagues and other PhDs have had their vivas online. So everything carried on. Everything's went on as normal. And it's been great, I think, from my experience. I think it's been really good.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think the ability to adapt quickly has been really impressive across the board at DMU. Okay, should we go to our next question? So how will learning be affected for practical courses? Mark, I'm going to come to you first for that one.
Okay, well, courses do have practical elements to them. And the way in which we will be tackling that is a combination of doing some things online, but also having practical elements on campus. Remember that the campus will be open. It's not as though the university will be closed at all. But the main thing to bear in mind is that we will be having social distancing and ensuring the health and safety of all students. So, for example, in my subject area in psychology, there are practical elements where we teach students elements of biological psychology. So, for example, this is related to human stress responses, which you measure using forms of psychophysiology. And we will have our practical facilities open, and students will be able to use equipment. We will supplement that with online demonstrations. And through that way, the practical elements will continue. Don't forget also, you can do a considerable number of practical things online. The software that we use enables groups of students to get together with instructors, and the students will be able to ask questions of instructors. They will also be able to interact with other students online during specific timetable sessions. The way in which the learning will work is that the whole group will be together at the beginning and then can be broken down into much smaller groups, say just 4 or 5 students, and students will be able to interact one with another. So through these ways, we will make sure that the practical elements work. There are some aspects of course-specific practical requirements. So, for example, within the subject of policing, they have a crime scene room where they have mock-ups of crimes, and the students will then learn how to do crime scene analysis, and they have to wear particular forms of PPE in order to do the analysis. So really nothing will have particularly changed there. Students will be able to continue their practical work despite the COVID-19 situation.
Excellent, thank you, Mark. Debra, I'm going to come to you. We'll see if this is going to work, and if we can hear you properly. Do you think there's anything to add to that for social work?
Yeah, so one of the things that we do in social work is try and link students within year 1 to social workers in practice. And usually you would go and visit the social worker in their office and then, potentially spend the day with them. So the social workers aren't in office buildings at the moment. All the social workers that we're currently working with are working from home. So we have arranged with our local authority partners that you will be linked with a social worker, and you'll have chance to talk to them about the work and experiences, and get to know what their working life is about in preparation for you to then go into practice settings the following year. We also have a series of films or videos that you can watch looking at social work practice, and we'll analyse them in the sessions and prepare you for that practice element going forward. We have a group called the Service User Advisory Group, who are people with lived experience of social work practice, and some some of the social work interviews were done, for some of the admissions interviews were done, and prospective students would have met those people. So we look at, we will have sessions where it is ourselves as academics and people with lived experience of social work working with you in preparation for the practice elements of the course, which takes place in years 2 and years 3.
Perfect. Thank you. That did sound much better as well. So that was good. Thank you, Deborah. Okay, let's move on to our next question. So will I still be able to access the software that I need for my course? So Mark, if we start with you, in terms of the programs that we have across the school, is there any specialist software that students are going to need to access, and how are they going to be able to do that?
Yes, across the school and in fact across the university has a campus-wide license for Office 365. So this is available to all staff and all students. So you'll be able to install all of Office 365 onto your devices, both computers, PCs, Macs, tablets, put it onto your phone, and use the software. Office 365 also comes with a terabyte store of online storage, which is an awful lot. You'll be able to keep all of your important files online, so they'll be really safe. So this is something really just more general purpose that I think all students will use. You also use it for your email access. There is some more specialist software that is used within the school for some subject areas. So, for example, for statistical analysis, we use software called SPSS. That's available for students to download on their own computers and access it that way. Students also use software for doing various forms of experiments. So within psychology, we use some software called PsychoPy, something that Nabila is very familiar with because she used it for all of her PhD data collection. This is something that students will be able to download. It's actually free software, and install that on their computers. But on top of that, the university has taken out an institutional license for some software called Pavlovia, which links very well to PsychoPy and enables students to do experimental work online. In other words, they start their software programming locally, but when they want to go out and collect data, they can do the experiments that they would have done, say, on campus within an experimental room. They can go and collect that online. Now, if it turns out that you don't have access to a certain type of computer, then the university is putting facilities in place to virtualize software. So what we mean by that is you go to a website on the university, and then once you log in, it's as though you have logged into a computer running Windows 10 that has got everything already installed on it. So through that way, you can access the software if it turns out your personal computer isn't quite appropriate. So through that way, all you need to do the various type of work within the university will be available.
Brilliant, that's excellent. Thank you, Mark. Debra, is there any specific software needed for the social work course?
So like Mark said, Office 365, use of email, we have the tutorials mainly through Microsoft Teams at the moment. And sometimes when students are liaising with our local authority partners, that might be via Skype video call or MS Teams. It depends what the local authority use. But if students don't necessarily need to download that software themselves, they can just be sent a web link and they can access those video calls just via a web link. So that has now.
Excellent. Okay.
that students are using at the moment within the first year. Once they get out on placement, we've been working with our local authorities that students can access the local authority systems from their own homes, but they've got to go through various training first, and that again is via a web link to access those systems.
Perfect, lovely. Thank you, Debra. And Nabila and Hana, have you both found accessing, have you needed to access any particular software? Has it been fairly straightforward, Nabila? Unmute, yeah.
Okay. Yes, I have found it very easy to access all the software, everything that I've needed. ITMS are really hands-on, so I dropped them an email because I had some documents on my PC that I needed access to from home, and they organized that quite nicely for me with a good tutorial for dummies as to how I should access it. So I've not struggled at all with any of the software that I've needed, and yeah, I think that just makes me feel really supported, and it just means that I don't feel handicapped being at home, which I really appreciate.
Excellent. And Hannah, have you had to access any particular software? Has that all been straightforward for you?
Yeah, I'd just like to agree with what Nabila said. The university ICT department, ITMS, considering how many technical issues they probably had to dealt with over this pandemic, they are absolutely fantastic. For me, I just really need Office 365. My course is very much essay based, and we just write and write and write all day. So yeah, that has been absolutely fine. Obviously, as Mark said, we get free access to that. Also, I'd like to point out as well, if students are having any technical difficulties, or maybe they might not have access to a laptop, the library services, the Kimberlin Library, are able to offer support and assistance with that if you do find yourself in that situation.
Lovely. Perfect. Thank you, everybody. Okay, let's move on to our next question.
Can I add something?
Yeah, of course.
Can I add something there? Yeah. So thinking we've got a number of students with specific learning differences who may have specific software which is assigned to them, and we've got a number of students in that situation, and they get support with that through the learning and support services at the library, and you get taught how to use that software as well, and many of our students have found that a really useful service, and something that is tailored to them as individual students.
Yeah, really good point, Deborah. I think in terms of having support available to meet everybody's needs, yeah, there's lots of access to that at DMU. Okay, next question then. So access to facilities, I guess this kind of links in with the practical elements of the course that you've already touched on, Mark, but do we have specific facilities at DMU? You've spoken about the crime scene house. Is there anything else that you want to point out, and how students are going to be able to access them over the start of term?
Yes, well, a lot of work has been done already in terms of signposting, in terms of ensuring that there is appropriate distancing of different buildings in campus. And through that, we'll make sure that all students will have access to the facilities they need. So, for example, within psychology, we have our psychology computer labs. We also have smaller rooms for students who need to do things like interviews, or rooms where they can collect experimental data. The plan is that we want to keep these rooms open. We've got a group of psychology technicians who are working hard to ensure that all of this will happen, and they will be available to answer student questions and to show students what the facilities are that we've got and how to use things. So the campus very much is open, and students will be able to have access to things. In terms of the numbers of students who can have access at any one particular time, obviously we will be mindful of aspects of social distancing, but yes, the campus is very much open, and access to facilities will be maintained.
Excellent, thank you, Mark. Okay, should we move to our next question? So will I still be able to ask questions and get the help I need if I'm stuck? So I think Nabila and Hannah have kind of talked about some of the support they've already had. I don't know, Mark, if you want to run us through more of that sort of structured support system and how that works.
Yes, of course. The answer to that is yes, absolutely. Students will be able to ask all kinds of questions and also to get help in many different ways. One of the ways is through the mechanism that I talked about right at the introduction. We think that structure is really important for new students starting out at university. So although aspects of learning will be online, we want to make sure that all of our students have a timetable so they know when things will be available for them to look at and to engage with. Even if it is the case of using, say, a pre-recorded lecture, we want to have that scheduled in so that students will have time to look at the material, but at the same time, staff will be online and will be running interactive sessions. So if students have got any particular questions about the lecture, they'll be able to ask those questions in real time and get answers from the staff. Then we come to things like practical sessions, computer labs running for things like statistics, and then seminars that accompany many modules. These will happen in real time, they will be scheduled, and students can turn up to them and ask questions of staff members and also interact with other students. This is a really important way in which students can learn. Students definitely will be able to ask questions at this point, and even after sessions are run, if students feel that there's anything that's outstanding, just as things have always happened when we've been on campus, we encourage students to get in touch with the lecturers concerned, maybe to send them an email and arrange a session where they can ask questions to make sure that they really do understand material and they don't feel lost, that they feel that all of their questions have been answered and their learning can go on just as normal.
Thank you, Mark. Does anyone else have anything they want to add about that? Nabila, yeah.
Yes, so I believe Mark mentioned this earlier, but personal tutors are a good place to start if you have a question and you're just not sure where to go with that. So personal tutors are definitely the people that you can turn to. But also, I believe there's a Facebook group for students who are new to DMU, and there's also accommodation groups and things like that. So if you pop a question online on Facebook or anywhere like that, there'll most likely be someone who can answer your question. And it's probably because we're not interacting as much, social distancing, etc. But generally, if you turn to anyone at DMU, someone will be able to help you. Students are more than happy to help. Lecturers definitely are always available to answer any questions. So anyone you can think of, if you just pop over to them, ask them a question. If they can't help you, they'll definitely point you in the right direction. So be rest assured of that.
Lovely, thank you, Nabila.
Could I also add on to that as well?
Yeah, of course, Hannah, and then we'll come to Debra.
Okay, yeah, so pastoral tutors, definitely a big one. If you want to talk to current students as well, we have student ambassadors on our uni buddy. So if you go onto our website, you'll be able to access that and have a chat with all of our student ambassadors to maybe talk about things from a student kind of perspective. Also for the rest of this live stream, we've got the live comments down below. So if you have any questions for me and Nabila, please do ask. And we've also talked about the library as well. So they're a great place to go. And also we have an initiative at DMU called Healthy DMU, which looks after student well-being and student welfare. So if you'd like to look at their resources, definitely look them up because they're a great team.
Really good points. Thank you, Hannah. And Debra, you had something to add too.
Yeah, so in addition to the personal tutors, all the module leaders offer tutorials as well. So if there's, if any student has any specific questions in relation to those subject areas, they can book tutorials with those module leaders. So potentially a student could have a personal tutorial and then however many modules that they're taking in that term, they could have tutorials with each of those module leaders. But students, you know, we've got an open door policy, whether that's like actually on campus or via email. You know, a student gets in touch and the tutor will respond. So we like to hear from students. We like to get to know, you know, we like to get to know everyone and where they're at and, you know, what they stand. So it's really, really important as students that you just make contact with us.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Debra. Okay, let's move on to our next question. So what can I do to prepare for my course between now until September? So Mark, is there anything in particular across the sort of portfolio in social sciences, any tips for things to do over the summer to prepare before they join us?
In essence, I probably would say no. Many students will be really studying really hard doing their A-levels, and now is a good time just to celebrate and have a bit of a rest. When you start at university, it will be pretty full on in the first few months. So I don't think really there's a lot of preparation that students need to do in advance. I think that they need to think about what their learning might look like in the autumn, but in terms of trying to do any kind of reading in advance, on the whole, we advise that's probably not a good idea. It's probably better for students to wait until they arrive at DMU. They'll be getting a full reading list. They will get instruction on what happens, how to study at university, and what's going to come up.
Excellent. So just relax and enjoy what we can of the summer. Yeah. Okay. Debra, do you have anything to add to that? Any particular prep for social work applicants?
I mean, I do think I agree with what Mark said in terms of, you know, having a bit of a rest, and students will be guided very clearly from the very beginning of the course as to what is important and, you know, what they need to look at. I would just say, just in general, you know, if you wanted to do something, I'd say, you know, look on you know, social media, Twitter, and, you know, social work websites, British Association of Social Work or the Youth Work websites, and just read what is current. There's a website which is specifically social work, community care magazine. You know, students just become familiar with what they're dealing with, and there's lots of current stuff big pandemic as to how social work practice is happening at the moment. So that's just interesting. And so if students wanted to read that or watch, you know, any of the videos, that's fine. But I wouldn't get too stressed about it.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay.
If I can add on to that as well.
Yeah, of course.
Nabila said earlier about the Facebook group, so I believe it's called Applying to DMU 2020, and on there you can find all of your course mates, so you can prepare in that way, start making friends, start talking about the content that you might be sent through throughout the summer after results day.
Good point. Yeah, it's a great opportunity over the summer to try and start to build some of those connections before you join us, which I think loads of our applicants are doing already. Fab. I think we're on to our last question. So let's have a look what that one is. So this is probably one to start with Nabila and Hana. So what advice would you give to a student starting this year? So I guess for you guys, casting your minds back to when you were first starting university and going into that first term, have you got any advice for our applicants? Hana, let's come to you first.
Wow, this is quite a difficult one because it seems like eons ago since I started. But my advice would be definitely reach out to others, connect to others, whether that be speaking to student ambassadors via UniBuddy or speaking to current students using My UniPal, which is something that the student union runs, speaking to course mates on the group that we just mentioned, reaching out to your personal tutor as well. As soon as you know who they are, start getting that rapport with them. And yeah, just remember that you're not alone. DMU are with you every single step of the way and are able to support you, whether that be academically or in terms of your well-being. So make sure you engage with those resources.
Perfect. Thank you, Hana. And Nabila?
Yeah, I think Hannah pretty much covered it, but I would say students need to engage. I think Debra mentioned that the lecturers want to get to know you, they want to hear from you. So I definitely encourage students to take that first step, to be brave and engage with the lecturers, engage with your course mates. There's really nothing to lose from that. And actually, I think your experience will be a lot more enjoyable if you get involved in as much as you possibly can. And there's a lot going on. There's always something, and I'm sure DMU will be doing quite a lot of things online for students. And so I'd recommend just do it, make the most of it. You're coming to university; it's an investment in yourself. So just make sure that you make the most of the opportunity.
Good advice. Thank you both. So before we finish, Mark or Debra, do you have anything final that you want to add, either in relation to that or something else? Debra, had your hand up.
Yeah, so it's just what what was just said then, in terms of, you know, come to everything that you can. You know, the students do best when they're involved, engaged, come to all the sessions. I know, like, you know, sometimes dependent on flexibility, but as far as possible, you know, come along, join those interactive sessions, because that's the way you get to meet the lecturers, that's the way you get to know each other. And they are, you know, we try and make it a fun experience, we try and make it enjoyable, so that you learn better, when we try and create that atmosphere. So, you know, we want you to take full advantage of that, you know, but it means you coming along and, you know, putting your best into those sessions.
Absolutely. Mark, anything from you to add?
Yes, I'd really echo what the other people have said. If you talk to students in their second year and third year, say, is there anything they wish they would have done differently in their first year? Oftentimes they say their first year is a time when they had most free time. They had more time on their hands and when they could do things. And if they would have done anything differently, they wish they had got more involved in things earlier on, rather than waited until, say, their second year. So do take these opportunities. The university has got so much to offer you, and things will work out so much better if you get stuck in, get involved, not just with your studies, but with all of the other things that we have to offer at the university. We use this buzzword at the university called enhancing the student experience, which means doing things on top of your studies. It's a great way to improve your life, but also as a really good employability skill. If you can articulate to an employer all the things that you've done, apart from just study your subject, that will give you the competitive edge when you go out to seek a job. And the university's got so much to offer to you. Do get stuck in. If you're not sure what to do, talk to us. We can give you advice. Talk to some of the other students. We can point you in directions. There are so many opportunities available. I'm sure you'll find something that will benefit you and you'll enjoy.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark. Okay, well, I think that is all we have time for today. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you to our panel for supporting us and sharing your knowledge and experiences with us this afternoon. You can find out more information about your DMU future on our website. So there is the web link, and that's the best place to go for any updates on any developments over the coming weeks. So before you join us in at the start of October, the Your DMU Future web area is where we're going to be constantly updating as things progress over the next few weeks. So keep an eye on that. The only other thing to mention is that for those of you who have accepted your offer with DMU, we have an event on Friday evening called Your DMU Big Night In, and we would love for you to join us there. So this is an opportunity for you to get to meet other applicants, other first year students that are going to be joining us at the start of the next year, and have a small taste as to what some of the social side of university life is going to be like for you at DMU. So please make sure you head to the link and book yourself onto the event. We would love to see you there. And that's all from us. So enjoy the rest of your day, and we hope to see you at DMU soon. Goodbye.